everyone. Hello, everyone. This is July 9th, and July 9th, 2024. This is our special meeting of Board of Directors for Georgetown Unified Public Utility District. And I'd like to ask that. Let's take a roll call, please.
All right. Director Saunders.
Present.
Director Stovall.
Here.
All right. Director Thornborough.
Here.
Vice President Seaman. Here. And President McDonald.
Here. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for showing up, everyone. Pleased to have you here. President McDonald, Board of Directors, UD. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to the rest of the board team. Over there, you have Vice President Donna Seaman, Mike Thornborough, our treasurer. We have Director Saunders, who is a former president and member at large, and we have Bob Stovall, member at large. Thank you. At this time, I'd really like to give a special thank you to a few individuals, Steve Dowd, Sheree Carleon, Steve Miller, and Carol Loomis, who are active in our community involvement and participate in virtually every board and committee meeting, workshop, town hall, and you name it, the district has to offer. And so thank you. These folks have contributed to the improvements and successes made towards the functioning of our water district over the years and decades. Thank you very much. Thank all of you for coming prepared with questions and concerns you may have. That you might otherwise respond to your quarterbacks are uninformed because they don't have access to the latest accurate information because they do not attend town hall meetings, workshops, board meetings, or meet and greets with the GM like we've held in the past, well, several years, but especially in the last year and a half. Also, thank you for being part of the process, the solutions, and the progress we're making the water district public utility that you would be proud of. It is our hope that you will partner with the district and direct others with questions, especially on social media, to the district office or members of the staff, including the general manager, who will gladly to address your inquiries personally, necessary. And at this time, I would like to introduce the district manager, Nicholas Schneider, who will be leading the presentation and seeing and moderating the Q&A to follow. So without further ado, Nicholas.
Thank you. I'm not gonna use a microphone. Do you all hear me good? Yes. Thank you guys all for coming. I echo all the comments from President McDonald. This is a good opportunity for information sharing. I welcome questions. Allow me to get through my couple slides that I have here to answer a lot of the questions that I've seen. I did monitor the Facebook groups and I saw that there was some concerns, and I want to alleviate those concerns. I don't want anybody today to leave without their questions answered. So please, I know it said 6 to 7. If you have to be here until 9 o'clock and you guys have a question, I'll be here until 9 o'clock. I will answer all your questions. Okay. So today we're here to talk about water transfer, and really quickly, let me explain to you what a water transfer is. A water transfer is, in all intents and purposes, a water sale of our water here locally. We are blessed with what they are referred to as senior water rights. No one can tell us what to do with our water except for us. So there are many communities throughout California that do not have the same luxuries that we do, and they have to buy water. Before I started living here, many of you will call me a flatlander probably. I'm from Southern California. Don't hold it against me. I promise I've adopted you as my home, and I love it here. But down where I was from, we did not have great water rights. We had a lack of water, and we were always looking for other water to be brought into our community because we just couldn't make ends meet. And I will tell you right now, not everybody has a pool, and not everybody has grass down there. I didn't have a pool, I didn't have any grass, I had a big desert plot of land, and I still didn't have enough water to give to my community. So, a little bit of history about the district. Oops.
Yes.
Oh, there it is. So a little bit of history of the district. The reason we have senior water rights is we actually petitioned the state when we were formed in 1946 to go all the way back to 1852, which is some of the oldest water rights in the entire state of California. I think we're like one of the 5 or 6 oldest water rights in California, just here in the divide. So the reason we have the say in how we use our water is because of the people who came here to got mindful. You guys all know that. You know why you're living here. Many of you have been here your whole lives and multiple generations before. Some people probably can trace their lineage all the way back. That would be awesome. What's that? I did.
Not. Here, I'll do your slides.
Go ahead and slide.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, technology doesn't want to operate. So the district is about 112 square miles. We have approximately 10,000 people that live here. We have about 21,000 acre feet of water that we have access to in Snowy Meadows. Incorporated as a district in 1946, and about 12,000 acre feet of water is what we need to survive here. And it's actually a little bit less than that now, about that, but we've actually made quite a bit of improvement into the district, into the community, and we're not using quite that much anymore. So, the next one. Oh, go back one more time. Great question. Yeah, well, while we have the map, I'll show you. So, yeah, Georgetown proper would be here, and this kind of, it's not really the right line, but this is Wentworth Springs Road, and it goes all the way up to Snowy Meadows. So not all of this in here, this blue part is our district. The yellow part is what we would call our sphere of influence. So it's our water. Right.
Okay.
Anybody who's been here, it's a very beautiful reservoir. Snowy Meadows. Originally, many people thought it was 20,000 acre feet. So for years and years and years, we went on the assumption that it was 21,000, or excuse me, 20,000. Last year, we completed what they call a bathymetric survey, and it actually was rated at 21,206. The technology has improved. They use sonar and some other technologies to actually determine how big your bathtub is. So that is, we have a little bit more water than we originally thought. So that's a little bit of buffer that we have. Go ahead one more time. Okay, so how much water do we get in an average year? So who was here last year and almost flooded away? I was my first year here at the district. I was living in a fifth wheel trailer over at the KOA in Diamond Springs, and I was going to put pontoons on my boat, on my trailer, so that I could go back and visit my family in Southern California. That's how much water we filled. We had over 45,000 acre feet of water flow through our watershed. So a lot of water kind of fits somewhere in here. Okay, so what this is saying, has anybody ever heard the term 100-year flood? Okay, 100-year flood would be above the 10th percentile. So 100-year flood would be over 130,000 acre feet of water flowing through the watershed. Doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. So last year, the glut of water we had wasn't even half of a 100-year flood. And we stubby filled about the 31st of December last year. And we actually were still spilling well into, I believe, July of last year. This year, we had a little bit less, and we started spilling in this January 31st of 2024. And we just stopped spilling about middle of June, a little less than middle of June, like 10th or 11th of June, stopped spilling. We're still at 97% full, so there's still a lot of water in the system. What this graph is showing you is if you took a group of years, so let's say 10 years. Once every 10 years, you would have 129,000 acre feet of water flowing through the system. If you look down here, every 9 out of every 10 years, you would have at least 11,793 acre feet of water. So what that is trying to show you here is if we use 12,000 acre feet of water, subtract that from the 21,000 acre feet that somebody has, that leaves us somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10,000, 11,000, something like that. And if we fill it back up with 11,793, we're back to full. So 9 out of 10 years, we will fill, even if we get all the way down to 10,000 acre feet of water. So we did some modeling calculations this year, and we're anticipating to get down to about 17,000 acre feet of water. So as of today, and then going into the end of irrigation season and then into the rain season, we should end the season somewhere between, I would be conservative, 16,500 and 17,000. So that's, we're doing really, really well. Like one more. So this is what a historical chart of Stumpy looks like over the last 3 years. So going back to April of 2021, basically started the season here at 19,450. So now anybody notice when we start the season, where are we not? We're not full. So I want you to take note of this, that this is us not being full. Okay. So we started at just under full, ran the whole season all the way down. This is end of irrigation season. This is 11,811 acre feet of water. Then the next year is winter 2021 and 2022. We fill all the way back up to 21,206. The graph can't go any higher than that. We can look and tell you how much rainfall happened that year, but I can tell you which inflow is in a couple slides. But we fill all the way up. So May of 2022. Does anybody remember what happens right about this date right here? 2022. Worse.
Flooding.
Worse. This is like September 2022. Fire. Mosquito fire. Okay, so mosquito fire happens somewhere right in here. We end the season at 16,153, even though we just went through 75,000 acre feet. It's 75,000 acres of fire hitting the district. I'm not sure, it's not many people are aware because you can't see it from the road, but the upper part of our district was dramatically affected by the fire. The canals have no trees around them. There's no protection up there anymore. We are still working on recovering and fighting from that fire. We're working on erosion issues. To date, the district has spent about $750,000 in real dollars to recover from the mosquito fire. So that is where we are here. And then this is the next year. So this is where we have the glut of water right in here. So we fill all the way back up. We're filling December 31st, 2022. We actually stay full all the way until July, which is pretty unheard of. And we only get down to about 18,182 in 2023. So now in 2024, we have just now started not spilling. So like I said, the reservoir is currently at 97% full. Can I go one more?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, can you put it back to another one? Yeah. April 2021 down to, we got down to 11,000, but that was because we transferred water, right? That was transferred water.
I'm gonna get to that. Yeah, partly yes, but I'm gonna get to that. Yeah.
Was the fire from the water?
Yes, it was. Yes, about 25,000 acres of the watershed was burnt or more. Probably more than that, 30,000. So it was in Placer County. Then when it jumped the river, it burned our whole upper canal system. So about 6.5 miles of our the canal that moves the water down here is exposed to erosion and other damage. So a considerable portion. Okay, so this is that same graph, that same chart in a graph form, so you can see how much water comes in. So we're gonna go back to Steve's 2021, April. So we only need this much water to fill all the way back up. So this is basically saying 95%. That is 1 year. Excuse me, 19 years and 20 years, we will receive 9,000 acre feet of water through the watershed. So on average, we should be filling up and we should have a full reservoir here at the end of this. So I give you one more. Now, what is the, sorry, this is one more. So this is, oh, no, go back one more. This is what it would, what the season looks like and other drought conditions. So 1977, anybody lived in 1977? A little before my time. I wasn't quite a twinkle. But I know that it was a bad water year in California. So 1976 and 1977, two lowest water years in history of California. So Stumpy Meadows gets all the way down to still over 50, about 15,000 acre feet of water. 2021, I'm sorry, 2021, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong line. So this is 77, it's below 15,000. In 2021, which is considered one of the other worst water years in California history, that would be adjacent to our water scale of last time. We still ended up at 15,000 acre feet of exceedance, okay? Give me one more. So this is what the best thing to show is. For the last 10 years, if we look back, how much water flowed into and out of Stumpy Meadows. So 2013, we got 10,997 acre feet and the reservoir filled. Does anybody remember 2015 when the governor, do you have a question?
I'm curious, 4 years or so ago, when you got limited on water?
That's what we're going to talk about that right now. 2015, anybody remember what the governor came out and said? We all have to reduce 25%, and other people got even worse than that. Down where I was, we had to reduce 32%. Okay, so 2014 and 2015, we started full. We received 5,239 acre feet of water. We still filled back up to 81%. Next year, another low water year. So these are two examples of that 95%. We're below the 95% exceedance level. We had 7,309 acre feet of water. We only filled up to 64.4%. So, you know, pretty catastrophic. We were pretty low. However, still have enough water in the system to provide all water needs and should still be able to provide health and safety needs and irrigation water. Okay, 2016, you get 21,000 acre feet, and that's our magic number because we're at 21,206, so we're full again. Full all the way down to 2020. Okay, who remembers what happened in 2020? Besides the really crappy year that we had.
Everything.
2020 was the year that the district decided to sell some water. Okay, so we decided to sell 2,000 acre feet of water. We received in the next year. So the reason we had an issue was because the next year happened to be a dry year. So we ended the season at 15,000. However, technically we ended the season at 13,000 because we had this 2,000 acre foot hole within the system. We only received 6,900 acre feet of water, so we were only able to fill up to 91%. Now, there was some issues with the way the system was being operated that we had no control over. And when we do a water transfer, we are under control of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation because of Folsom Lake and where the water has to move through the Central Valley Pond. In 2022 and 2023, the system wasn't being operated the way it always had been. The U.S. Bureau of Reclamation decided to operate it, and they wanted to make sure that Shasta was being filled. So they were operating Folsom at a higher level, producing more water from Folsom than they were from Shasta. So we were not meeting our refill agreement because of the way the system was being operated. Anybody here in the news what happened earlier this year? Shasta's full for the first time in 5 years. Okay, so Shasta now can operate properly and doesn't have to have Folsom as a regulating flood control operator. Moving into 2023, you can see the amount of water we received. There's our 43,298. That's just over the 50% level. And then last year we received 20,250. One thing I want you to take note of is back in 2017, also a very large water year, still didn't receive our 100-year flood. Okay, so we're still only about half of the amount of water that will go through at the most in our watershed. So those are this is a kind of a historical perspective to see where we look back. I'll be really honest with you. This is completely opposite of what I deal with down in Southern California. This is like 7 years of really, really wet conditions, and then you have 1 or 2 years of really, really dry conditions. I came from an area that was completely the opposite. They had 7 years of really, really dry conditions, and then we would fill all of our aquifers up with 1 or 2 years of really, really wet. So it's a very blessed, we live in a very blessed area for water storage. Go ahead and give me the work. Okay. So the question is, do we want to sell water? And I'm going to ask you another question. And while we're being asked another question, can we actually sell the water? We had an average water year, so it's not a wet year. There's 5 different categories of water years. We have wet, above normal, normal, below normal, dry, critically dry. That is really fast. That's really technical. Last year, for example, the 43,000, that's a wet year. So that's a lot of water. This year, at 20,000 acre feet, we're considered a normal year. So we're not above normal. We're right in the middle, average. However, there's still a lot of water that is in the system. I just told you Shasta's full, Folsom is full, Oroville is full. All the reservoirs are now full, so there's enough water in the system that people are going to be taking their allocations that moves the water from the north to the south. The Central Valley Project, which is the federal system, which is where we would move this water through to Westlands Water District, is 50% capacity. The State Water Project, which is what moves water down the I-5, down to the LA area and some areas like in Bakersfield, is at 40% capacity.
I have a question.
Yes.
If Oroville is full, Shasta is full, Folsom is full, then why are we below 100%?
That's the question of the day. I can't answer that.
So it's bureaucratic information.
It's
That's my statement.
yeah, that's outside of my. If you wanted my opinion, I'll talk to you after we're not on there. I have, like I said, I was a member of the State Water Project at my previous agency, so I have some kind of insights as to how it's operated, and we can talk offline if you want. But yeah, it is very much a bureaucratic situation. However, what I'm trying to say is there may be a chance that we don't actually move any of this water through the system. There just may not be a capacity to move this. So right now we are exercising an option to have a water sale with Westlands. While you all are here, we will be discussing this tomorrow at our regular board meeting and deciding whether or not the board would like to have this happen. So it's at our main office on Main Street. Oh, to Westland Water. It's basically from Fresno to Madera, the rest of it. So not quite Southern California, more like the Central Valley. It's a lot of agriculture.
You have to go through one of those Central Valley projects.
It does. It goes through Folsom. It comes out of the American River. It goes down the Sacramento River. It goes through the Delta, and then it goes out of something called Clifton Fort Forbay, which is in Bethany, California. You know where Bethany is? And then it splits. One goes to the right, that would be the State Water Project. One goes to the left, that's the Central Valley Project. So the Central Valley Project goes down to 99. The State Water Project goes on 5. Give me one more. It does. So what is the information that we have here? So the purchaser is Westland Water District. They are the largest agricultural water district in the entire country. They have about 675,000 acre feet of shortfall every single year in water needs. So they're always bottom. They are asking us to transfer up to 2,000 acre feet of water. The staff recommendation at this time would be to transfer 1,000 acre feet of water. The amount of revenue that we would receive to the district is between 275,000 and 550,000. So it's approximately $275 an acre foot. Now, I can tell you the reason why I'm only recommending 1,000, and it's because historically, rates for water transfers can go, so in 2020, when we sold water last time, it was $350 an acre foot, so a little bit more than we're getting today. But there was also only 20% of allocation in the system, so that's why it's a higher dollar. The year after that, there was zero allocation in the water district, in the water system. So they were paying $625 an acre foot. In 2022, again, there was a 0% allocation, so they were paying $675 an acre foot. So we could put a 2,000 acre foot hole in the reservoir, or we could put a 1,000 foot hole and hope for higher rates in the next year. Or in best case, there is no capacity, and next year we have a higher water rate, and we can actually sell our water for more money. So that would be best case scenario. Give me one more. Okay, so why are the benefits? What are the benefits of having a water transfer? So yeah, a lot of people hear that we're going to sell water, and we're going to think that there's going to be no more water. We're going to sell all the water. It's going to be a multi-year thing. This is what they call a temporary water transfer. It only happens 1 year. So even if we sold the 2,000 acre feet of water, we don't actually pay that water until the next cycle. Okay, so it's paid, but it's not actually taken out of our. I should use that graph you have. So Adam is our operations manager, and he was actually here for the last one. This is from the last one, and I didn't even think to include something like this. So you have actual storage, and I'll show the board exactly what it looks like. The blue is actual water that we have. In the orange is the hole that you put in, but it's actually not water that's taken out of the system. It's not taken out until it's called for by the Bureau. So theoretically, Folsom gives them the 2,000 acre feet of water, and then we have to backfill Folsom, and we backfill in the winter time. So we backfill after our season is over. Does that make sense? So this is water that's still in the system. So if we had some emergency, the water is still there. But as we refill up and we start to spill, and then they start to spill, is when we start to pay our water back.
You say we've got to pay that back. That comes out of the bottom of the lake.
That is correct.
Anything that spills over, it's not paid back.
That is only correct if the Delta and Folsom are not in full capacity. So if the Delta is full and Folsom is operating as a flood control, then we are fully paid. We don't lose a drop of water. Okay, so what? Sorry, I'm leaking. Very humid. I'm gonna melt here in a minute. So why do we want to do this? Online, there was people who talked about, will this reduce our rates? I'm going to be really honest with you. This will not reduce your rate. What this can provide is rate stabilization. It would lessen the blow of a rate increase. And so we've done some analysis that has been modeled where we can do a water transfer every 2 to 3 years, and it would not affect the water supply of the district. And we can utilize this money as income. Now, we can't rely on this because we can't know when or how much water or how much revenue is coming in. So we can't write it down. What these funds do is they offset our capital improvement plan. So they offset our construction project. They offset the the stuff we have to do for the fire. We have to, maintain our reservoir, we have to maintain our water treatment plants. This helps us to offset those costs, which then offsets the operating budget, because we are able to keep some of that money in our reserve account for a rainy year. I mean, I'm trying to answer all this, so, I'm gonna have you go to the last slide, but I do have a couple other things I wanna say. This is our information, okay? That's the office number. You're welcome to call and get a hold of me or anybody else. This is my cell phone number right here. That's my email, that's my cell phone. If you wanna call me on a Saturday at 9 o'clock at night, feel free. I'll answer the phone.
About 11.
I don't think, you can call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. Ask, Director Stovall when I responded to his email last night.
I said it to you at midnight.
I sent it back to him at 2:13 a.m. So,
Yeah, but don't ask till 7 AM.
don't have, 7 a.m. is out of the question.
We can each take 1 hour. I'll take it to the clock and keep up all night.
I am on call, but this is your 24/7, except for 7 a.m. when Director Steven wants me.
I start early.
That's a little too early for me. I do have a window there where I have to get to sleep. I try to keep this beautiful. But you can call me anytime you want. And you can email me anytime you want. If you have a question, if you think of a question when you leave, you're like, man, I wish I would have answered that question. Call me, email me, I don't care, text me. All of the above, I will respond to you. I want you to know that whether this is a popular opinion or not, I know on Facebook, it's not a popular opinion to transfer water. People, speak their mind, which is totally fine. This isn't to put money in my pocket. This isn't to put money in Adam's pocket or Liz's pocket. The directors make $400 a month, whether we sell water or not. They're not getting any money from this. This is not to bolster anybody except for you. This helps this district. You heard me say earlier, you have this great resource. You have all this water in the system, which is worth more than gold. What is Mark Twain's famous saying? Anybody know?
Suburbs of San Francisco or.
You know, talk about San Francisco. Whiskey for drinking and water for fighting. So we're gonna drink the whiskey and we're gonna fight for, we use our water to other people wanna fight for, and we're gonna have them pay us. I have plans to bolster our water supply that is greater than somebody. And I would really like to help this type of a project continue on, but I can help stabilize the rates. Like I said, I can't say that we're not gonna raise the rates. I can say that we may not raise the rates as much if we get water transferred or water billed. But that's the best I can tell you. I'm gonna be really honest with you. Some of the things that we've done since I came here, and I'm gonna say it's with all the help of the 5 people you guys sitting there. I'm not anything without those 5. We've generated over $316,000 just in interest income in the last year. Where the previous years, we were only generating about $35,000. So we have more than 10-fold interest income just in the investments that we are doing as a board. They are authorizing us to do. I don't know if anybody picked this sheet up in the back, but you're more than welcome to go grab one anytime. This is a grant tracking sheet that we give out to the board all the time at every board meeting, and it is how much money that we have brought in. So in the past 10 years, before I started 2022, I started the day that you guys all got let back into your houses first after the mosquito fire. That was my first day of work. So before that, 10 years before that, we received about $550,000 in grants. In a little over 18 months, we've been able to bring in $2.8 million in grants. And we have $37 million in grants in the pipeline that we are just waiting to find papers for. So you can see what we're doing. We don't want to put the districts, all the, we don't wanna put the district's, infrastructure all in the back of the ratepayers. Before I was here, I worked at a district in Southern California. In 5 years, I was able to bring in $35 million. And I had a saying was, I don't wanna spend your money, I wanna spend somebody else's money. So let me spend somebody else's money to help you guys, and this is just one of the ways that we do it. So, that's the end of me talking. I'd be happy to take all the questions, and anybody, if you want to address the board, you're more than welcome to address the board. But I do believe the president wanted me to decide moderate, so I see your hand raised, I'm just going to point it to you. Is that cool with you guys? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Some of those questions were how about extending our gift water?
Yes, so we can extend the ditch water seaward. It would cost. And the biggest issue that we have is having everybody in a ditch agreeing to that. So I'm not sure where you're located, but you. Okay, so you would have to have all your neighbors agree. You can't just send the water to one person. It's very difficult to do that. And it's very hard that we have people who want all year round that it's really difficult to water that. Because infrastructure is not designed that way. You can't get all of the people to agree to that.
So they don't want to take advantage of the habit.
Correct. Correct.
I seem to remember, maybe a couple of years ago, I'm not quite sure when, but they were talking about restricting our water use.
Yes.
And they were saying that, well, we did that livestock and. Yeah. Is that still things that are happening, or is that only if we have a horrible year with water and the.
So I can give you some insight into that. So all that stemmed from 2015 when we had the drought. That was when the governor came and he said that we need to reduce 25%. Right after that, he enacted something called the Conservation California Way of Life. That was a document that both myself, for different districts, and Director Saunders helped write. I mean, when we helped write, our names are actually both that we helped write. That document is what you're now talking about. And what it did is it sets a water budget. So there's a few things everybody has heard about, the 55 gallons per person per day inside your house. So that doesn't mean it's all the water you use in your house. That's just indoor water. So that's your shower, your toilet, your dishwasher, your washing machine. Doesn't include any of the outside water. So when I first got here, they said that we had about 2% of allocation of water for outside in the house use this year on the bottom. Both Director Saunders and Adam had fought that, and we are now up to about 11 or 12%. So this is not something that we are laying down to take. So the best answer I can give you to your question is we have gotten confirmation from the state board that we do not have any water restrictions until 2034. So we have met our requirement up until that date. After that date, we'll probably still meet our restrictions. We're still doing things in the district to save water. So some of the projects that we're working on and some of the things that we want to use somebody to pay for is, if you look at the grant sheet, two of the major grants are pipeline number analysis. And that would greatly reduce the amount of water loss that we would have. So we would not lose water from evaporation, we would not lose water from filtration, we would have less blowouts. I mean, we had a blowout right after the fire, and we lost probably 20 to 25 acres of water in a day. It's just because the water goes out so fast. If we could put pipelines in up there, so we have a $9 million grant from USDA that we're trying to put in the pipeline with. We have a $4 million grant from FEMA or CalOES that we're trying to put pipelines in. And that would almost take care of covered damage. So that would be extra water in the system, where we could basically bank on going past 2034. So it would be less water that we have to account for. Now, other things we're doing is we did receive another grant for canal line, which is going. Does anybody know where Townhall is Volcano Road. So below Volcano Road, we are looking to, line concrete underneath our, so we don't lose water going down the bridge, or water going outside, undermining how we lose water balance. So those are ways that we have started to save water. We have probably saved over 3,500 feet of water just in the past 6 or 7 years. All that is taking part just by doing water retention projects. So there's a lot of water that we are not having to use that we are saving because of the project sector. So the answer to your question is we probably won't have to conserve water like that. And then, like you said, with livestock, that is a very significant variance. So livestock, evaporative cooling, fire, those are all things that we can apply for variances, so we don't have to reduce water, have more budgeted allocation. That answer your question?
We talked about transfers a couple times this year.
Yes.
Now, it seems we made an agreement, I think it was last year, about the repo agreement, the transfer agreements, the policy. We're supposed to get it done in January and then have a meeting like this in April, by April, to do the transfer. Are we late?
We are late, but it's only because we were asked late by residents. So in April, they did not come to us and have any, we didn't get our agreement until May from Wesley. And so I started with the process. We did start talking in January, February timeframe to the board, some of the board meetings you remember. And then in May, we brought it to the board and we let them know that there was an interest to sell water. And so now we're coming today because we wanted to make sure we did our due diligence and brought it to you folks and the community and let you all know that this is something that we would like to do. And then we will further discuss this tomorrow. Is that all right? Yeah.
So, for, the difference of 11,000 acres to the 14,000. So you have different costs that we're going to see, or there are different costs, and that we're going to have to incur to tell that, because when we had done this before, there were lawyers and others.
So we have a water transfer consultant that we have hired after that last one didn't go as planned. We hired a company that was working for us now. And so they have given a cost to us, depending on the amount of water. So if it's 2,000, it's 55,000. If it's 1,000, we're going to do it for 49. This is that. That, all that's included. If there was a question here real quick, if you don't mind.
I'm not concerned about this. I'm concerned with right now, about 25 years ago, we had this and people had to go through and build it for 1 year. And they took up the main, right now, they had built shop, and I was very good on it. And I'm all going, the service, except if they have a job doing, they're going to go for it.
So they can't take our water. So you remember what I said about having to get water rights?
Yeah, I know that.
Our water rights actually from their water. So the state water board we would basically be able to go into position to state water board. And we would have legal standing because of how old our water rate. I understand. I've never done any trying like. Over here.
So, Westland, Bullshit, Hudson.
There's a couple cities.
So, Bullshit, Hudson, yeah, the definition is small.
It's a little bit some days, but I mean.
Not berries that way, that area.
A lot of watermelons, sunflowers, Not as much on that side. Because they don't look the ground is-
You didn't use it.
So like the ground, so less. It's harder, the ground is very soft. So.
Nicholas, can you use the mic, public since they can't hear you?
Oh, yeah, of course. I thought I was loud. I can just talk louder. Is that cool?
The public can't hear you.
Oh, on this, I'm so sorry.
Unless you want to hang out here.
I can hang out over here. How about that? Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm new to the area, we moved up here in 2007. I did grow grapes and Vegas for water distribution. And the whole system in California is now big. You know, they'll never have it. There are mining groundwater down there. So the first question I would ask, within our area, was this established precedent? For people coming back to the game, saying you can sell it water, maybe you should give it to everyone.
Yeah, so let me just tell you what the question was for the online folks. The question was, that the gentleman has grown grapes in Bakersfield for years. And are we setting up any kind of precedent because we are selling water and they can then go back and say, you've sold it once before, now you have to sell it again. And so actually it's pretty funny. It's that California law won't let them say this because the CEQA agreement that we go into is a 1-year CEQA agreement only. And so we are not forced to sell water anymore. There are long-term water transfer agreements that people have, but we would not enter into that. It's a whole different process to enter into a long-term water agreement like that.
My other question is, I can understand the revenue side of it. Are we getting the best deal if we're going to sell it? Other places that we buy it for higher price.
So the question was, just in case you didn't have it, is are we getting the best price for the dollar? Yes. There are no other, basically the way our agreement is written is we get 275 or what the highest state water project acre foot price is sold. So if someone buys it for more, then we get them more. So our agreement is very flexible on our side. The basement is the 275, the ceiling could go up.
Can you distribute the water from the reservoir before it overflows? So in other words, that water, when it comes in, it's our water. Once it goes over the top, it's state of California water, right?
Technically, no. So that is not our water, but we do have a kind of a funny water right. We have the ability to store 21,000 acre feet a year, but we don't always have the ability to store because we don't ever get empty. So if we were to have another place to store water, then we could store more water and have more water supply.
This makes sense to, sell the water before it goes over the top.
I agree.
If you're gonna do
Typically, they
this,
want the water in September and October, which would be most ideal for us because it's kind of when we're dwindling down and we're getting into our wet season. And so we're able to start filling back up. So even if we're transferring the water, we're not transferring it in our worst time of the year. We still have water in there, and then we're starting to fill back up in October, November when we start getting our.
seems like Folsom might want to pay more money.
And you know what, we can work out a deal. Typically, those are longer term deals and they take a little bit longer to work out.
But that might be a good place to put infrastructure in to get water to where they can get it.
Yes, I agree. And
Very good.
we have been working with congressmen, our local congressman and a couple other congressmen to work that out.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see the money, put into infrastructure, delay rate increases, and I understand that everything decays over time.
Yes.
So preventing erosion and sedimentation, the reservoir reuse capacity, that all makes sense. And good for you getting the rents.
Thank you. I do want to, there's a couple questions that were given. I'll answer yours quick and I'll answer the other ones.
It's not up there.
So, the question was, am I aware of Pueblo, Colorado, water right that was lost because of development? Uh, So I can't say I speak to that one. Colorado has different water rates than California does. But what I can say is I'm familiar with areas within California that had water rights and then sold their water rights. And now they are being used to develop. And it's, so the California Urban Water Management Plan Act, which is part of the water code, requires any developer here in California that wants to put in more than 500 homes or wants to put in more than 200,000 square feet of shop space, they must have at least 20 years of water supply. So they must provide water rights. They must buy water from somewhere to provide those homes for at least 20 years. So that's why California and Colorado moved in.
So that's where this the question about Folsom. Then kind of cutting their control that road if they can find that much water.
If they can find the water and someone's willing to be a partner with them, then they can build those homes. But they have to have it takes two to tango in those types of situations.
I would like for you to explain to everybody about how the refill agreement works and what that's all about, and maybe even tell what happened. The last step.
So generally, this is, the water is taken out of the reservoir and we have what's called a refill agreement. So the refill agreement from 2020 to 2021 stated that we would become whole again, or we would have basically no more hole within our reservoir once the delta was in excess and Folsom was in flood control mode. Okay, so what that means is the delta, which is the picture that we showed earlier of the water, and that has to be at a certain level. There's a gauge that we watch that is in the delta, and it says whether or not the water level is high enough. So enough water in the system, which this year there's enough water in the system that is what they call in excess. Last year it was over excess. And then the second criteria for that was Folsom is in flood control mode. Okay, so in the winter time, here we are, everybody drives by the dam in Folsom and you see water going over the top. That is flood control mode. That happens often. It happens in the winter time. And what that means is when those two criteria are being met at the same time, then you have to wait for 2,000 acre feet of water to go over the top, which is about 10 minutes in Folsom. You have met your refill criteria. The problem we had with the last one was I tried to explain it earlier. I maybe have been premature in explaining, but when I started to explain that they were not operating Shasta, they were trying to fill Shasta up, and they were operating Folsom in flood control stage. However, the delta was not in excess. So we were only meeting one of the two criteria. And the delta has been in excess the last 3 years since that happened. So 22, 23, 24, the delta was in excess. It just so happened that the year 2021 was a lower water year and we were not able to be in excess. As you saw, that was when I told you that they were selling water for $625 or $675. And we had sold water the previous year, so we didn't have any room to sell any more water. Now, what we're hoping for is we've been trying to work with the Bureau of Reclamation. They are the ones who set the refill criteria. We can negotiate with them, but they are the big gorilla on the block, as we said earlier. They kind of tell us sometimes what the refill criteria is. We are trying to get an or qualifier, so it's Folsom is operating in flood control or the delta is in excess. So we have a better chance of refilling that year. Now, there are slips of mercy. This is one of the infancy stages of that. And I spoke to EID. They are doing the water transfer this year. They're transferring about 750 acre feet of water, and they haven't even started to negotiate yet with the Bureau, and they approved their water transfer 2 months ago. So it's a slow process. We can put in a qualifier that says if for some reason we don't like the refill agreement, or we don't think we can meet the refill agreement, then we cannot transfer water. The water transfer is very flexible toward us. As I stated earlier, Westlands needs a lot of water, so they have a lot of dance partners. They have a lot of people that they want to, buy water from. So they don't want to burn any bridges. they want to, if you say, hey, we can't do it because of whatever reason, we feel like next year's gonna be a low year, you just don't feel comfortable, they're like, okay, we understand. So, hope that answers that question. No?
I'm not sure if they understand how the rate refill agreement works. We had to send, in other words, we sold 2,000 acre feet to Weston. But because of the refill, we had to send down another, I believe you said 1,000 acre feet that we got nothing for.
Okay, so it's a 10%. So you send, it's 500 acre feet. You basically send an extra glut of water to make sure that there's no losses within the system. Typically, Westland will take most of the losses, but we give, I'm sorry, it's not 10, it's 5%. 5%?
I think he's asking a different question though, but it is 5% of the losses throughout with the conveyance losses, but
I really want to answer your question.
I think you're answering this question.
you're asking over time, say if you, what you're saying is you have, once the whole and you have to keep Folsom, you have to keep Folsom whole.
Right.
The following years. And that's when he refers back to, delta and excess, Folsom and flood conditions.
I understand that.
So, yeah, so if you get to a certain threshold, yes, you would have to release water the next year, depending on that threshold.
He wants to know, if we sold 2,000 acre feet, at the end of the day, how much did we lose to meet the refill agreements in total? Not 2,000, but it was actually
2,000 plus 5%. That's all we have to send.
For this, we're talking about.
That's what it is for the previous one.
we gotta keep sending them. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you know, they don't know what we're talking about.
We did have to send them,
We had to send them a lot of.
but where,
It wasn't 6,000 acre feet at the end of the day.
It was over
the
here.
next year that we sent extra other water, that water would have spilled. I think that's where he's coming from. So you have your 5% conveyance losses. You're not really sending, it seems like you're sending extra water, but that water would have spilled. It's 500, is it 500?
I know what, Director Board was talking about, it's only when they request it too, so they'll request us to send, additional money down, and Adam kept the table of when, the water we sent counted, I think we ended up sending maybe 614 acre feet.
It's right around 500, 585.
Right. So what happened was, and that's what he was talking about, when it's and when the delta is in excess and Folsom is, that doesn't always happen, so they could have kept requesting us to send water until there was two conditions on that. So that's the thing that Director Sloan was talking about. That's why we want to put it more.
That's it, not get paid.
Well, yeah, that's part of the refill agreement, correct? You don't get paid for that. And that's why we're changing it to or, so it doesn't impact the district as much. And we may not end up doing it.
So. The point being, I want to make sure they understand how the solar field thing works. And that's what I want to make sure. Everybody here understands that. I mean, it took me forever to try to figure out what the heck it was. And the way it was put back then was, you know, this could keep going on forever. And the only thing that saved us was that we had a super wet year and all the criteria was met. So we didn't have to keep sending more water down.
It was actually before it was 1 year before the super wet year we had. So it was 22 when we finished selling. We finished our transfer. So the call is what they call it is. So we send the 2,000 acre feet of water. And then, as was stated by Director Saunders and Adam, hopefully answering your question, there could be a call for the additional water to protect them.
That's the best way. That's the best way.
This is the hole that you have, that they could call this orange water, okay? So this orange water is your water, it's in your system, but they can call and ask for a portion of it. Now, we're not the only people who transfer water, so we're not the only people who get a call. PCWA transfers water, DID transfers water, YOLO transfers water, UBA transfers water. So lots of different agencies do this, and so any one of them can get called on a portion. They can't ask for all of it. I mean, they didn't ask for all of ours. They could have asked for all of ours, but they didn't ask for all of ours that in the year. They asked for some of ours, but not all of them.
So that's, so somebody is giving it to them, and they want more.
No, it's not going to West, it's going to Bureau, it's going to Bill Colson.
Okay, so they're not paying. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we get, so the way that agreement works is Folsom actually gives the 2,000 acre feet to Westlands. And then we pay back the water to them as it comes back in. So they prepay, like they have a debit card and or checking card, credit card, and they give a 2,000 acre foot. Then we pay the credit card back. But the interest charge is if Folsom feels that they didn't get the water back and they're not filling enough back for the extra water that's directly from the talking about. So it's not going to any agency, any district that's not paying for it, it's just going to the bureau. How do we answer your question?
One more thing to add on that, which, it's something not going to last. When you do have that goal, so that's kind of helpful. It keeps going that, so they can't take more than 2,000. So if the machine sells 2,000 and it goes 2,000, that's the most. So that would be the other thing.
And then, I think it went down, what, 600 acre feet, the next year would have been approximately. Yeah, then we had wet year, and then that way.
Yep, correct.
Wasn't the wet year, it was the year before the wet year. The wet year was.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. Nicholas,
Good.
I was at that board meeting, I think it was like 2019 or 2020. Proposing to transfer water, we had to speak with him, we was in his farm, I can't remember the last. And he was trying to sell us something different. I wasn't buying it then, and we definitely could have we got to, I mean, but it's lucky we got that season that 2022. We didn't have to pay all that. But it was pretty bad. You sold it to everybody else, but I wouldn't buy it. Mark, I remember Mark, was that a thing, Mark?
Yeah, that's why we've since made that water transfer policy, so we need to go over the book, with steps that we did got over.
There's a hand on mine. There's a hand on mine.
We'd like to think we've learned from previous mistakes in this board and staff. This board, but we learned from mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah, so this board wasn't the board that transferred water originally. It was all done before. I think Mike, you were the only, Michael was the only one on the board. But it was, all the other board members are new to this.
What this gentleman brought up, he had. Correct?
I'm hoping that it doesn't happen again. I don't think we're gonna get, in the same situation as before. We've put a lot of different things in place and we've learned a lot and hopefully we're going to do this better just moving forward. There was a couple of questions that were brought in, so I want to make sure I answer these for everybody. These were online questions, and then we do have a hand raised online, so I'll get to that in a minute. It says, before selling available water to Southern California, is it possible to expand water to residents of the divide who are not currently served? And these are all kind of one other one. It says, many residents of Pilot Hill must drill wells for their water. Why no GDPUD water for them? So I'm going to answer those two questions at the same time because they're the same question. Anybody in the district who lives on the divide within our service area, people within our sphere of disciplines is more than welcome to join the district. We had a customer last year who joined the district. it costs to hook into the system. But once they're hooked into the system, they will be provided with water, and this amount of water would not affect having enough water to still do a water transfer like this. There's about 12,000 people who live on the divide, and we serve about 10,000 of them. So we would add about 1,000 acre feet of water, water usage if we hooked everyone up in the system. Everybody uses about a half acre of water on average with larger lots. So even if everybody wanted more water, you're looking at 2,000 more acre feet of water, which is a lot.
You only got 4,000. That's all right.
We have 4,000 connections. I'm talking about population numbers. So 10,000 is a people number. 12,000 is the people number of people who live here. So we have 4,000 connections. That's 10,000 people live inside those 4,000 connections. So would you have a question about this?
Yeah. So people on wells, who pays for them?
They. Unfortunately, I can't subsidize somebody coming into the system on your balance. So, for example, I'm going to use Adam as an example. If Adam wants to join the district, Steve, do you want to pay for the pipe connection to Adam's house? Carolyn, do you want to pay for the pipe connection to Adam's house?
Let's pay for it.
Let's pay for it. So, it's called a gift of public funds. If I let Adam come into the district and put it on your balance. It's a subsidy that we are illegal. It's illegal for us to do that. And so we have a connection fee. And like I said, somebody last year, they wanted to annex into the district and they had to connect into our system. They were adjacent. I mean, they were within a rock's throw of our pipeline. They still had to pay to move the pipe to their house. There was one other question that says, can the water district control the flow of water to the future buyers once the agreement is finalized? The answer is yes. If at any point we do not want to transfer water anymore, we can stop the transfer. The only thing we would have to do is pay back the prepaid money that they give us. So they give us $40 per acre foot as a good faith that we're going to transfer the water. If we don't transfer any water and at one point we say, whoa, all stop, we don't want to transfer any more water, all we have to do is give that money.
That with penalties or not?
No penalties.
Is that negotiated?
It's negotiated agreement.
I have a couple of questions. I was looking at some old board minutes and I came across a question that Mr. Dow out of the irrigation committee in February 2003. He wanted to know how much he resulted from the sealing of the ditch in the piping. And at that time, Adam Brown said that about 400 acre feet a year. And so this is water that primarily is red. It's that water, but maybe we're not using it, it's kind of still. And so to me, this is $110,000 worth of water that you save by using other money. But now it's still left. So this is like it's one of the things that the public is looking at. With the grants that we've been able to utilize, we're able to save water because we're able to save them. Now we're able to sell them. Another thing that I came across was Maria, is that she pointed out in 2003, there were 632 irrigation projects. From 2003. In 2023, there was 501. And so I looked up online and what a miners in just had per head. Believe it or not, it's all right there. And so we were able to save, we lost $44,000 as a result of cutting down. But if we were to take that same acre and sell it to customers, instead of $28,000 to local irrigation, which don't want to pay for it, we would be able to generate $275,000. So because of what the board, the district, the GM has done to try to conserve water, now we have the ability to transfer that. there was an analogy of, look at water as silver dollars when it goes through the reservoir. I thought another analogy might be wooden nickels, you know, because they float. And so long as those wooden nickels are inside the reservoir, those are the wooden nickels that we can sell. If we don't sell the 400 acre feet that we save through conservation, they're just gonna float in the dam, they're gonna value. So my point is that let's look at what we can sell and what we can pay. Because that's where the value is, not the water is going down. But to me, this is a very important thing for our district to invest in. Frankly, we're water. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
We need that for the. No, what I'm saying is that the number of irrigation customers has gone up. They don't want to. Can you speak on the microphone?
Somebody in the future, tomorrow, shows up and says, hey, I'd like to get some irrigation water over here, 3 inches, are you gonna say no to them?
Oh, every year,
Yeah, everything he said, if they get more money, he said it go less.
this is
And then he's saying we're gonna lose it, because we gotta make up. If the dam's not full and the drain's not full, then we gotta keep giving them water until that happens.
So you pull up, we're putting it back into the system. So we're taking the whole out of our water supply. So we're not getting, the water is not gone. You have to pay back what we let them pay first.
Well, if I understand it right, we gave them 2,000, and then we had to give them 600 more, until 585 until that was filled down there.
No, we only gave 585, and then once we were filling again, when Bolton was filling, we were back.
And if you're not filling, then you just gotta keep filling the water,
Really, we go.
until you're 2,000 feet.
Yes. So it's not in perpetuity.
Oh,
that 2,000 feet, that's below something. They keep taking it till the 2,000 feet.
Yeah, just 2,000, so you're not getting like 10,000 or 20,000.
oh, I was mistaken, because I really didn't give away water.
I want to make it real clear. You are our president. If it comes to the point where Russell says, we want your water, and we can say, well, we don't have it because we need it here. We can cancel that out. You, our district, your water. I could concern about understand your water.
I still don't understand your,
Okay,
your question.
what I think the confusion is that you got 2,000, you sell them 2,000. And you get money for that, okay? Then the refill agreement, you gotta give another 2,000 under certain conditions. You can give, and he's saying, now saying up to another 2,000. Just to Folsom as part of the refill agreement that you don't get a dime for. That's what I want explained. I mean, it took me forever to figure it out and to understand what they were saying. And from the way this was all presented before, it has a potential of being, this is what they said before, now they can say something different, is that this could go on for a long time. You know, for year after year.
Positive that you're gonna get from the water, you.
That's why the whole agreement has been changed. Have the consultant for legal. That mistake was made in the past.
You don't really get that.
That mistake was not made.
We didn't like to say it, it's really nice.
That's the only thing still.
Yeah, if Folsom isn't in, it's still in, Delta is, and that's that. Then, yeah.
don't know what we can do.
Yeah.
So, we haven't fixed that contract, so that didn't happen, so they're liable to have it happen again.
Nicholas explained all that and all the graphs, charts, and the averages, the odds, and the percentages.
1 year and 20 is the only time you would not fill.
And the way the contract is written, we can cancel.
Just so everyone has been very patient.
Give them the mic.
I got two questions. The question, one to go ahead and clarify a little bit, and it's kind of related to this. The refill agreement, is that part of the transfer agreement, or is that just the best practices to keep the?
Two different agreements. We have an agreement with Westland to sell them water. The refill agreement is between us and the Bureau of Reclamation and wholesale. So they prepay the water. And we have to backfill that water.
And then just a little bit of clarification, when we're talking numbers about the 2,000. When we say another 2,000, does that mean potentially 4,000?
It's a
Potential.
It's two, if there's a dry year. And so the reason we got hit back by was the 2021 year was a dry year within the system. And as I stated, there was kind of a weird way that the Bureau was operating. And probably could have ended that the Bureau was in breach of their contract. But then we had the next water year, which was a lot of water, and we didn't have to worry about it.
Nicholas, I'll pass the mic around. You need to stand over by that.
Sorry. We do have a question online. I want to make sure.
She walked off. We can hear you, just not the public.
Am I blocking you?
No, you-
So I have, suspicions about how the Delta determines the payback criteria. Because the Delta is being highly scrutinized. And for it to reach a certain level, is that a stable, predictable criteria, or can that be changing every year with environmental concerns? So therefore, it kind of puts the pressure on us to meet a criteria we don't really know.
No, there's a gauge and there's a metric that is, it doesn't move, the metric doesn't move.
Does the chance of the Delta criteria for meeting with Folsom's refill, is that a known criteria, or is that variable based on, let's say, drought years, which has been brought up, which makes me kind of nervous because if we fall into 3 or 4 years of drought again, which let's face it, it's quite likely. How does that affect the sale if it goes into 3 or 4 drought years?
So in 3 or 4 drought years, can you pull up that chart that I had? With the 95%. So we had 3 or 4 drought years. And I'm going to show you because we can show you on the chart of when we had inflow. Go back to the one that has the full in percentages. Right. Use this as the perfect example of 2 years of dry. And even here, we can still fulfill all the needs of the district. So this is not full. Okay, and then we have another dry year not full. Still can provide all the water we need for the district. And then we came back and we filled again. So it's not, even if we had a dry year and we fill the next year and say the 2,000 acre feet is an issue. Let me explain this. So the way this, the reason that we had to start paying back, and you gotta read this, it says 18,000 right here. So the whole is that we were 20,000, right? This is before they did the bathymetric study, it said we were 21,206. So the 2,000 is because we didn't spill, we didn't fill all the way up. But we had a hole that we needed to give this water back because we didn't spill. We also needed this amount of our water. So not all of our water, just this amount of our water. If that makes sense.
So when Folsom wants water, is that to send down the Delta and down to Southern California? Or is that serving the Folsom area? Is that
No,
the?
Folsom cannot give water, cannot serve water to people. Folsom is a flood control dam. And it's what they use for what they, the terminology, the technical terminology is cold water pool. And it's to protect the fish in the delta and protect the fish in Folsom. Make sure that there's enough cold water because salmon and other fish like cold water. So they want high up water that's cold to come down into their system and keep those Folsom Lake from being hot. So they want to make sure there's enough cold water, cool water coming through. So that can be possibly.
Yeah, we do.
It's environmental. It's not given to a customer. So it's an environmental one.
I just wanted to make a point. The 2013 and 2014 years, when we didn't get as much rain that seasons, we had the fire. They were pulling out of Hudson Lake over and over and over again. And that is something that's not our control, or we are in control of the amount they can take out. If this year, we've had a lot of rain, there's high grasses, more brush from the trees being gone, so that could be another potential fire hazard for this year.
So we can't stop them from taking water out because it's for health and safety, but they pay for the water. So it's not free. And
For example, during the mosquito fire, they pulled about 150,000 gallons out, about a half acre foot.
yeah, so they were actually pulling water directly out of our canals. They were throwing hoses and pumps in our canals and fighting right next to our canals. And but they pay back all that water.
But if we didn't have strong rain seasons, it wouldn't be as full as it was.
Yeah, and that's why I go back to what I was trying to say with the inflow graph that I was showing you. So those are historical inflows into the watershed. It's how often those happen. So 10% of the time you get the glut, 129,000, but 90% of the time we have enough to fill something based on the water usage that we have. So we take it down to 10,000 acre feet. And we have 90% of the time we will fill back up. This is one of the probably the most generous watershed for reservoir filling in the entire state. You will never see us on the same schedule as Oroville and Folsom and all the other places where they don't fill. Because we fill more often than we do. I mean, we're in July, it was 97%.
Just want to get a little clarification at what Adam just said. I think this might address your point more. The amount of water used for firefighting is a very little amount compared to what we're talking about here for all deal. What was and I didn't really hear
about 1.5 acre feet of water, what they use to fight the mosquito fire.
So like a fraction of overall.
In the King Fire, the lake went very low.
It's because, so it wasn't because they were taking water out for firefighting, it was just because we had 2 years in a row that were low water years, low rain years. So it was kind of a perfect storm. We had 2 of those 20, like 1 in 20s that happened, and they actually weren't even 1 in 20, they were like 1 in they were between 99 and 95%. And they just happen to happen back to back. And that was the problem with why it got so low. But you can see the historical average shows on either side of it that it doesn't happen very often. It happens very, very rarely. I'm not discounting what you're saying, so please don't think that. I want to make sure there's always enough water for this community, to provide community. What I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to echo what Director Stovall is saying is, we are resource rich in the water, and we can turn that resource into a monetary gain and still provide to the community. So we're never trying to take away from this community. And to answer your question, sir, if we had somebody who came and said, I want 100 inches of water, and they wanted to attach, or they were already connected to a ditch, you better believe I'm going to serve that person 100 inches of water. Yeah.
I forgot.
Oh, sorry.
people at home need to hear this. So this is for people who are listening at home, so we have to have a sound recording.
Are we working on getting storage tanks?
I'm working on getting more storage tanks.
Okay, here we go.
What do you think?
Yeah. they don't-
People at home have to hear the public.
It's a. Read the grant.
Yeah, I do.
You're talking a one-year contract only, correct?
We did one, a multiple year contract, it is very difficult to do, and CEQA, which is the California Environmental Quality Act, will not let it do a multi-year transfer without a whole lot of environmental paperwork. I don't know if there's anything else the board wanted to say or have any questions, or I want to make sure I gave you guys time to.
I would express my gratitude for folks showing up and listening and getting educated about this and hearing facts from the general managers now. Asking these questions, I really appreciate the turnout was here on the or town hall meetings. We go in the future, I appreciate working with this. It's been my pleasure to be a part of this.
So the board is voting on this tomorrow.
It'll be on the agenda. It's up to the board whether or not they vote on.
See how difficult this was, to get the message across to a dozen or so people. And we have 10,000 potentially listening on Facebook that don't get this interaction, perhaps charts, historical knowledge, yeah. So we would ask that you could be partner with us as advocates that, just please direct them to the office staff or the GM. We'll come to the meetings.
There's about 30 of my cards back there. You can take them and give them to your friends or anybody who has a question.
There's a board meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Correct. Oh, everybody out of It's tomorrow at the district office at 2 p.m. It's a special board meeting because it wasn't on 4th of July, so we moved it because the date change is special. This is extra special. That was special.
It's at 2 o'clock at 6425 Main Street. Right next to Steve Dowd's house. Find Steve Dowd's house and it's right next to it.
You can meet at Steve's and just walk over.
Yeah.
Just walk around.
No, it's gonna be like 100. Yes, sir.
So, one more question, is this going to be available online?
It is online now. The presentation.
Will it be available tomorrow, so
It's-
for those that have those, the other 10,000 people, they want to.
Yeah, it's available online right now. It's physically on our website.
It live streamed on YouTube.
Yeah, so this whole presentation is available on YouTube. We have a plug. If you go to our website, you can click and find the YouTube channel. All of our board meetings are put there and they will be there forever. And then the presentation is on our website, as well as the documentation for the water transfer is already on there. So you can read the paperwork yourself.
All the board meetings are on the website also.
And if you wanna zoom in, there's a Zoom call-in. There's a Zoom call-in number for tomorrow's meeting, so if you don't wanna come down to the office to make it up, you can call in and listen.
Yeah.
Or
And
raise your hand and.
I'll make sure I take the hand from there first.
Yeah.
So with that. Board member. Oh,
Thank you all for doing this, explaining it the way you did. I got. Otherwise, others. And.
I want to thank you for presenting this in the way you did, and I do trust your knowledge and what you shared with us and the way you did it so that we can understand, because there are a lot of crazy notions that people have because they're not listening and paying attention to what you're doing. So thank you.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yes, thank you.
You're gonna remind me of something I want to say is that, everybody needs to know is that if you have questions about, somebody makes a comment, and I get this a lot myself. If somebody makes a unknowledgeable comment, this slide is back to go. All you gotta do is email us, do Facebook to us, Messenger, whatever. Any one of us for it. We clear something up, talk to me really quick. And we're all here to answer your questions if you have any, if it's something that we should probably be answering, then we'll go ahead and go to the next, we can take care of. But, speaking for myself, you can come and message anytime. And, I'll get answers as quick as I can. And I think that goes true for everybody here. So I also want to thank you all for coming. I hope you got all your questions answered, and if you don't have any more, the cookies in the back. Okay. You better get there before I do, though.
Best friend, see you later.
What's the problem? Oh, you're claiming you're gonna say the same thing I said. Is that what you're doing?
This time I ask for a motion to.
What did you do in the meeting?
Then a second. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Thank you. 7:30.